Rosemary Tendler, and welcome to Coven Quorum. This is an advice column. You submit questions, queries, conundrums, and I supply the answer. First things first, I am an expert in nothing. I have no credentials. I am not qualified. I'm just a girl with a useless master's degree, DBT skills, and a lot of therapy experience. Let's get started. The opening of this episode, I have something sincere to say. Usually, I say a bunch of silly things. Not this time. Consider yourself warned. I have received nearly 200 advice questions for this podcast. Quite a few, in my opinion. I want to talk about a common theme that I am seeing in so many of them, like more than half of them. That is that people seem to be really having a hard time in their work lives. I'm seeing questions from people who have lost their job, who have had to move home and live with their parents, who want to pursue creative careers but are stuck under the weight of oppressive day jobs, who work in creative fields but are struggling to get jobs. I work in a creative field. Most of my friends work in creative fields. I'm talking artists, artisans, musicians, working actors, writers of books, TV writers, designers. I am not talking about famous people. I do not have famous friends. I am talking about normal people who work in the arts and in creative fields. So, this is my point of view, and I think that we can all agree that one person's point of view is limited. But many people that I know are struggling to find work or have been laid off or moving home or leaving cities that they could once afford or are trying to keep up with AI. People feel beaten down, they feel sad, they feel discouraged, and they feel scared about the future. When I now read all of these questions and see people who seem to be from various walks of life struggling with the same thing, I have to imagine this feeling extends past creative fields. And I want to point it out. I feel it's important to point it out because I think it's so easy to get into the trap of thinking that we individually are the only ones going through a hard time. That individually, we are the only ones who feel like we are failures, who are bad at our jobs, who are lost or worthless in creative pursuits, or who are not doing enough. But from where I'm sitting, I want to tell you that people collectively are having a really hard time. I don't know if I have sound advice on this, but I will say with complete conviction that social media creates a very warped view of real life. This isn't news. We know this, but we forget it. And I think sometimes we forget how much of our life, what we see of other people, what we see of their jobs, what we see of the news, filters through social media. So I'm just going to play out a couple of scenarios for you. First, a musician is posting on Instagram about their packed summer tour, and we think, wow, so cool. That person must be in such high demand. They're playing all these shows all the time. They must have it made. When the reality is that musician can't get off tour because constant touring is the only way they can make enough money. By the time everyone splits the money between the band members, the merch person, the tour manager, everyone barely makes enough money to live. So you have to do the whole thing over again and again and again. Next, an artist is doing drop after drop of their work on Instagram. And we think, oh my God, this person keeps selling out of all of their work. They're doing so well. How are they doing this? They must be set. They have it figured out. When the reality is that person needs to be in a near constant state of creation in order to sell enough to make enough money to live. Furthermore, that person's livelihood is dictated largely by a social media algorithm created by a billionaire which decides who and how many people can see their work announcement. Maybe one week, a lot of people see it. Maybe the next week, 10% of people see it. And if this artist has said anything political, like, say, condemn a genocide, the algorithm will make sure that nobody sees their work announcement. Lastly, we see a writer who has a New York Times bestseller, and we think, wow, that person must be making so much money off that book. And now they're going to keep making more money off all of the books that they keep doing from here on out. When the reality is, books do not sell well except for a few hits a year, which are absolute anomalies. I'm talking I'm Glad My Mom Died. I'm talking Court of Thorns and Roses, which is very hard to say. These books sell millions of copies. These books make money. Most books lose money. So, what an author receives for one book in no way dictates what they will make going forward on future books. And the money that they are paid for their book gets paid out over 3+ years that it takes to write it, which means they need to find another stream of income, which is why so many writers teach or work a 9 to 5, or, I don't know, try and start a podcast. Also, many writers' ability to not only sell books, but get a book deal in the first place has to do with their platform, which is dictated by a social media algorithm created by a billionaire, which decides who and how many people will see their book announcement. The world that is created by social media, the economy that is created by social media, it challenges our talents, our abilities, our self-worth, our idea of how life is or was supposed to go. It's dejecting, it's depressing, and it seems to be making a lot of people feel like they have missed some boat that everyone else has managed to get on. I want you to know that a lot more people than you realize feel that they have missed the boat. I'm seeing it in my life, and I'm seeing it in these questions. I often feel like I have missed the boat, and I spend a lot of time freaked out about my ability to continue my career as a creative person. But I don't know that you would know that from, like, looking at my Instagram account. I'm not sure how to end this, so I guess I will just say that I started this podcast because when I look out into the world, what I see is really ugly and really scary, and people seem to be isolated more so now than ever before. I also know that there is way more than that happening out there. There's a lot of beautiful and hopeful things happening. And it's important to me to be part of the hope. I am at a place in my life where I do not want to add to destruction by bringing ugliness into the world. There's already enough of that. But I don't think that the way to be part of hope is to pretend like everything's great and only talk about positive things, because that's just not how the world is. What I really want to do here is highlight the ways in which there is so much commonality in how we are suffering. There is an inherent connectedness in the difficulties that we face as human beings in this life. I hope that by listening to me answer these advice questions, it becomes clear to anyone who might be listening that you are not the only one going through difficult feelings. There are so many people going through difficult feelings. And maybe not all these questions will apply to you, but I still hope that you listen to them, even if they don't apply to you, and maybe especially if they don't apply to you. The more we learn of other people, the more we realize how much we're alike. And I hope that this creates some sort of community and perhaps some comfort, and mostly a reminder of our humanity. We are keeping on theme with the questions today. Our first one comes from Chloe from France. And Chloe writes, Hi, Anna. I'm 37, lost my job a few months ago, single and child free. I am currently back living with my mom, and I wonder what I have missed to be this late for everything. Is it ever too late to start over and find your path? I've done therapy, healing, and worked a lot on myself, but somehow life doesn't look like how I imagined. How do I find the strength to reinvent myself? Hi, Chloe. First off, this sounds hard and disappointing. The facts themselves are not disappointing in that I don't think it's disappointing to be single or child free or to live at home. But the disappointment I feel from you stems from this not being what you wanted or what you expected. Things not going the way that we anticipated they would can be very disappointing. Trust me, I know. Okay, so there are a few different lenses through which I might look at and answer your question. One is to say that the problem lies in the societal expectations of women, that we have children by a certain age, that we partner up by a certain age, that if we don't have children, we had better have a thriving career, or else what the fuck are we doing? All of these things are totally unfair and amount to an expectation of life that then, if it doesn't come to fruition, feels like we have done something wrong. These are the facts of social misogynistic injustice. But knowing that in no way makes up for how bad they feel, because we do live in a world where these things are expected. So, of course, it feels bad when we don't achieve them. We can acknowledge the societal pressure, but that usually doesn't make our experience of them any less painful. I get the inclination to go to a place of what did I miss to be this late? I get it. But a non emotional fact that I do think is important to keep in mind is that there is never one thing or one moment that creates an outcome. It's a million moments, many of which are determined by the resources that we have available to us at a specific time, previous experiences, forces around us that are out of our control, and dumb, blind luck. To your question, is it ever too late to start over or find your path? The answer is no. It's never categorically too late to do almost anything. Might something be more challenging to do as you get older, especially now that you have to push against the societal pressures and your own disappointment? Yes, maybe. Might it be scarier and feel riskier? Yes, definitely. But very little is actually categorically too late to do unless you want to become like an Olympic gymnast. I think at 37, your ship has sailed on that one. But starting a business, going back to school, changing careers, moving, starting a hobby, altering how you want to spend your time, if you have the means, the time, and the desire, you can really do those things at any time. When I had to reimagine what my life would be, it was really sad and really scary. I had to let go of this totally different life I had prepared for, and I still struggle with this. It's still really scary. I feel proud of myself for what I've been able to achieve, but I still feel sad and like I don't know if I will ever feel totally secure in my path. That no matter what we do, no matter our life path, no matter how it changes or doesn't change, it will never be without struggle and disappointment. And that is okay. That's life. We will be happier if we can make peace with that. So, yes, we can reinvent at any time we want to. I'm positive you can do it if that is something you want to do. I think if you're expecting to make a shakeup and then everything will fall perfectly into place, that could be a recipe for disaster. And that could actually diminish your strength to reinvent. Because the strength to do something is different than the opportunity to do it. So, speaking to strength, I would say don't try and do everything all at once. That's going to feel overwhelming and could knock you back and psych you out. Maybe practice making one change at a time if you can, and then let that be for a while. Keep at it. Don't expect it to change your whole life overnight. Making small adjustments and doing so with less attachment to the outcome might help you feel like you're taking manageable steps towards reinvention. Good luck. Next up, we have Laurel from Georgia, who writes, How am I supposed to know when I want to settle down? What does settling down even mean? Okay, so I'm going to approach answering this question assuming settle down is intended in the traditional sense, like find a partner and start a family. I'm not sure how else people might use this term. This is how I've known it to be interpreted, so that's what I'm going with. The term settling down is actually a huge pet peeve of mine. Thank you, Laurel from Georgia, for giving me a chance to air this grievance. Truly appreciated. I hate this turn of phrase, this cliche, if you will, because it supports some outdated, agreed upon idea of what constitutes one, a legitimate relationship, two, how relationships are supposed to look to people outside of them, and three, what family means. Settling down implies two people get together, date, live together, get married, buy or rent a house together, and then have children. And I firmly, firmly, firmly believe that this is an outdated view of happiness. Relationships can look any way you want them to look. You can live together, you can not live together. And not living together doesn't mean you have less of a serious relationship. You can get married or not get married. And not getting married doesn't mean you have any less of a serious relationship. You can have children or not have children. And not having children doesn't mean you have any less serious of a relationship. Living together, being married, having children provides no extra relationship security. You can have all of the typical things and still grow apart or get cheated on or be unhappy and vice versa. Also, you can have a happy, long, intimate relationship and be married, live together, and have kids. If you're unhappy or having doubts about your relationship, moving in, getting married, or having a baby isn't necessarily going to make this go away. It's not like you're going to be like, oh, okay, I settled down. Now everything is perfect. These are all just abstract concepts that we have ascribed meaning to. So, yeah, I reject the idea of settling down because I don't understand what the end goal is. We aren't in the Middle Ages anymore. We don't need to marry off our daughters for bountiful land deals. I'm personally in a relationship right now. It's long distance. We don't live together. We don't have any plans to live together. We don't have any plans to move closer to each other. And you know what? We're very happy. And we are closer and have more of an intimate partnership than I have had with most people. So, truly, none of these life milestones we all decided we need to do in a certain order and in a correct order, it doesn't matter. Family relationships can look so many ways, and there is no one correct way. Last but certainly not least, we have Opal from the USA. Opal says, hello, how do I save for retirement without feeling anxiety, fear, hopelessness about the future? I have a retirement account, I make yearly contributions, but with everything going on, it just feels useless. I want to save and plan, but it's hard to justify putting so much money into an account that I might never see. Wait a second. Saving for retirement is supposed to make you less fearful about the future. No, but I do get what you're saying. This will she, won't she threat of economic collapse certainly has us all on the edge of our seats. Personally, call me an optimist. I am going to plan for not a full economic collapse. I would rather put money away for retirement if I have the means to do so. It is so hard to save money in this economy. If you are able to save, I highly recommend doing it. Make that yearly contribution, girl. Plan on there not being an economic apocalypse. When you are old, you will be happy you did. I think. It's time for no. Dima asks, is it possible to love someone without hurting them? No. If we never hurt anyone's feelings, we wouldn't be human. Jessica, do you have any pre-date rituals? No. And Lizzie asks, men, why? Lizzie, I don't know. Hey, guess what? My New York Times best-selling memoir, Men Have Called Her Crazy, is now available in paperback. Paperback is cool because it's cheaper than hardcover and it's easier to carry around. Wondering if you should buy it? Don't take it from me, I'm biased. Take it from some of the other people who have written very nice things about it. Like Shannon Carlin from Time, who says, it's a stunning self-portrait of a woman trying to make sense of misogyny and sexism. Lauren Melching from The Guardian says it's a modern-day The Bell Jar. Mara Judkis from The Washington Post says dark wit and a shrewd eye for absurdities. Lastly, Wilson Wong from the New York Times Book Review says it is equally evocative and devastating. Men Have Called Her Crazy in paperback is now available wherever you buy books. And thank you from the bottom of my heart for reading. Thank you so much for joining Coven Quorum. Coven Quorum is written, produced, and edited by me, AMT. The intro and outro song is Friend or Foe by Esther Rose. If you would like to submit a question, you will find a link to do so at the About page on my Substack, annamarietendler.substack.com, or in the bio of my Instagram, @AnnaMTendler. Until next time, take care.